Welcome to the Creekwood High School Football Coaches Show with Creekwood head coach Houston Thiel and Dickson Post sports reporter Casey Patrick. The Creekwood Football Coaches Show is brought to you by Preston Thompson's Carpet Shop, for all your flooring and paint needs since 1970, voted #1 in Dickson County. The Dickson Tater Shack. Their potatoes are fluffy clouds of deliciousness that'll have you falling head over heels. New Wave Hobbies, bringing back the nostalgia with all your favorite childhood treasure in one place. Ace Hardware of White Bluff, your one-stop shop for all your do-it-yourself needs, where service and quality are always on point. Drug-Free Dickson Coalition, empowering our community one step at a time towards a healthier, substance-free future. And the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Remember, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Now, here are Coach Houston Thiel and Casey Patrick.
Hello and welcome to the Creekwood High School Football Coaches Show. My name's Casey Patrick. I'm here with Coach Houston Thiel. Coach, last Friday, obviously a tough one. Marshall County on the road. They're as good as advertised, aren't they, Coach?
Really good ball team. They do a lot of things really, really well. But still one of those things that you want to go down there and compete and play throughout the entire game and never feel like your kids give up, which we didn't. Played them tight, really, the first quarter. Go out offensively, get the ball first, drive the ball down a little bit, and unable to convert, had to punt it away, and then they missed a field goal open possession. So, you're feeling pretty good about how things start. But a lot of really good weapons, and, they did a lot of things well. We just got to continue to find a way to get better from execution of offense to handling responsibilities on defense and, making sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can as coaches to put everybody in the best position to be successful. So Marshall County's a good team, but that don't take away from the things that we're not doing well as a whole. And like we told the guys Friday, I mean it's everybody owns this. It's not it's not one guy's fault. It's not all on one individual. Now the buck obviously stops with me. So we got to find a way to get things straightened out and get better. And make slight improvements. Seems like anytime we kind of get a little bit of momentum going, have somebody gets banged up or hurt or, has to sit out for whatever reason it might be. And just trying to find that traction, So going into the bye week, excited to close the year out with 3 region games with still the possibility of making playoffs. And the guys know where they stand and what's at stake these last 3 games.
Yeah, and we're going to get into those last 3 games because they are extremely important, especially just to playoff seeding and everything else. But, you've brought that up a few times about your team competing and never giving up. That's been – and, of course, the Pro-Con game, Marshall County game, tough games, but your guys never blinked, right? I mean, and it's nice to have that from your team.
Yeah, I think that those guys, they definitely respect their opponents and they know what their opponents are capable of, but never really get the feel that, we're just out there kind of gun-shy as far as, we're just kind of lost in the smoke and mirrors and things, and they compete. That don't mean that we always do everything the right way, from execution to play calling to everything. You know what I mean? But everybody is on the same page as to the things that we're trying to get better at. It's just actually taking those steps and seeing the results.
Now I know, of course, we spoke before the show came on, but Riley Warwick on Friday night, he got to start. What did you see out of him? Did you see anything you liked from him on Friday night?
Yeah, Riley is eager to compete. He had started the game Friday at quarterback for us and played most of the first quarter and the majority of the second half in that role, and did some really good things. I thought he had good command of the huddle. I thought that early on he made some good throws, very timely throws to Jaden Elliott that put us in a position to move the football. Later in the game, I thought we kind of got a little bit more, whereas we were getting the ball out early when the game started, we started to hold the ball a little bit. And Marshall County's pass rush, that wasn't very beneficial to what we were trying to accomplish. So some things to work on with him for sure, but I thought overall he played a pretty good ball game. Things that he can grow off of and, continue to compete for our quarterback spot.
Now, what were some other things? I know that every once in a while, especially in a tough, game like that on Friday night, you can always look at the things you didn't like. But were there some other things that you really did come away and you were really happy with your team?
Yes, we've got a lot of extremely tough kids. We've got several kids that are battling their way through different ailments, and part of being in a football season, you're never going to be 100%.
Nobody
other
is.
than, especially this time of the year.
Yeah.
Hopefully on the bye week we can get back close, but we got we got a couple seniors, man, that are just battling their way through the year as far as trying to make sure that they're physically able to go play. Charlie McCormick's given us everything that he's got week in and week out. Hadn't been 100% for a long time. Obviously well enough to go.
Yeah.
But just not 100%.
And he flies around a lot too, so he hadn't been 100% in a few years.
Right.
I mean,
That's
the way
probably,
he runs around.
That's very fair. But he's just a kid that he gives you everything that he's possibly got. I mean, it's just no quit in him. Alex Bradshaw, another guy that was coming off a knee injury in the springtime, that fought through rehab and went through everything to get back for his senior season of football, and it's just continue to have little just minor things that are holding him back from fully being able to go, and kind of suffered another little thing on Friday night that hopefully with some rest over the next week or so he'll be able to get back and finish. But those are the kind of guys that you want to try to highlight and spend a lot of time talking about, and talked a lot to our team after the game about we got a lot of young football players. We got a big freshman class, a large junior class. We got a lot of eyes on older guys to see how they handle themselves. And my message a lot to the team was Friday was, pick out these guys that, don't pick out the guy that wants to make sure that he's got everything that's matching when he hits the field Friday.
Yeah.
Pick the guy out that's battling through injury, but that's, giving everything he's got in practice, that, doesn't have any discipline issues, that never has any grade problems, just does all the right things on and off the field, that mirror your game after those guys. So when you're trying to find out who you want to be in the program as far as Creekwood football goes, pick out those guys. Pick out the Charlie McCormicks, the Alex Bradshaws, and kind of mirror your path after those guys.
All righty. Well, we're going to take our first break real quick. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Marshall County, but most of the show is going to be kind of centered around the next 3 games coming up because they are so important. So make sure you don't go anywhere. And
Nothing updates your home like new flooring, and we have it all. Carpet, LVP, wood, vinyl, and tile, along with professional installation, warranties, and friendly advice. Preston Thompson's Flooring and Paint, voted #1 flooring store in Dickson County.
As your local Ace Hardware of White Bluff, we are all committed to being the helpful place by offering our customers personal service, quality products, and a convenient shopping experience from the local experts who know you best. As the helpful hardware folks in your neighborhood, we promise that helping you is the most important thing we have to do today. Visit us online or in store.
If you love Funko Pop, figures, video games, and Star Wars toys, you need to check out New Wave Hobbies. With new items arriving daily, there's always something new to discover. From Funko Pop, figures to video games, Star Wars toys to Marvel collectibles, we've got everything you're looking for. Whether you're a fan of sports, movies, or TV, you'll find something to excite you. Visit us in store or check out our Facebook, New Wave Hobbies virtual store page today.
At Dickson Tater Shack, we take loaded baked potatoes to a whole new level. We're not just any potato joint, we're the best this side of the Mason-Dixon line. Whether you're a traditionalist who loves classic flavors or a culinary adventurer seeking bold new combinations, we've got you covered. Located at 728 East College Street. Dine in or take out. Follow us on Facebook. Call us at 615-740-7111.
If your paint project calls for bold and vibrant neutrals or soft pastels, Benjamin Moore has the design-inspired colors you've been looking for in a full line of durable, long-lasting paints. And they're all here at Preston Thompson's Flooring and Paint, voted #1 paint store in Dickson County.
Welcome back to the Creekwood High School Football Coaches Show. My name's Casey Patrick. I'm here with Coach Thiel. Coach, Friday night, were there any younger guys that were able to get into the lineup? I know you were just talking about your younger classes that you've got, and they are kind of big. Are there any guys that were able to get in there and play a little bit on Friday night?
Yeah, certainly. Had a freshman starting on offensive line for several weeks now in Ryan Bledsoe. Guy that's been, I don't know if it was week 2 or week 3. No, it was week 3 because Procon was actually his first start. And we kind of made the joke, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, yeah.
So he's been a guy that has impressed since he got here. Was a guy that, immediately when he walked in the summer that you were impressed with just the size of the kid being a freshman. And then the work ethic has been excellent, and, his willingness and eagerness to learn the playbook and not be afraid to mix it up. Found him on the field early, and he's kind of become a staple there at right guard for us as the years went on. But, we've had a lot of younger guys that's been mixing in, and, a guy that got some playing time Friday night, defensive secondary, Sam Hines, played pretty well and did some things that, is excited to see him to grow. Of course, we've talked about the sophomores, Xavier and Augusto, and that list is Braden Windrow, Sunshine. That that list is pretty long. But they had a couple freshmen get in the ball game kind of late. One kid that we were just excited to see him kind of mature and see where he kind of develops. His name's Ethan Black, and he's a running back that kind of impresses us. Has had some good JV games. Is always in on the scout team work throughout the week. That seems to just do a good job of finding the crease. He's not a guy that's he's not going to put a Barry Sanders move on you or anything, but he's going to get north and south, but always seems to just be able to find the crease. So really good vision. So I thought he had some good runs Friday night. Really kind of into the third quarter when Marshall County, was still pretty much running their guys minus 1 or 2 dudes. So that was good to see. So some names that really hadn't been in the mix the last several weeks kind of got some looks Friday. So that was good to see.
Okay, and are there any other names that are kind of maybe behind those guys or other guys that they haven't made their way onto the field yet, but when they get there, they're going to be fun to watch?
Yeah, I think with that freshman group, there's been some guys that's found their way, out there. Dominic Alvarado is a 9th grader that's going to be a big-time player for us on the defensive line, offensive line. Jack Felt's another freshman kid that is just close. He's next year he's out there. You know what I mean? And he's one of those guys that you look up and throughout the whole week, you never have to call for those guys to be on scout team. They're there ready to go, whether you need offensive lineman, defensive lineman. So those are several guys that really excited to see how they mature. A guy that got in, had a big week, really, had a really big night. We had a JV game Monday night over at Fairview. Had a big night over there, a couple interceptions and a touchdown. Odell Springer.
I've been hearing his name a little bit too.
Yeah,
so I mean, I know of that one. I know you got a few, and I know you got a few in the works that maybe not now, but especially in the next few years, they're going to be big parts of this team.
Yeah, certainly, and I mean, especially as the year goes on, those guys are getting more and more accustomed to, kind of what you expect and kind of the speed of things. So you start to get them out there a little bit more and more. I mean, they're just usually not ready to go out there, August, and they just are not accustomed to what it's going to be like. But Odell got in, and actually we put him in at our kickoff return spot Friday night, which Marshall County's got a heck of a kicker, and he's 90% touchback when he gets it off. So we got into a spot where Jay Nelly had been in the game, and kind of just got him out to rest more than anything, and manage that as the game went on, and so put Odell back deep, and he as he was jogging in, he asked me where he needed to stand, and I said, just get on about the 2, 90%, more than likely this thing's going over your head.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that was the one that he didn't get a great boot into. So Odell kind of nervously, bobbled the kick, but he was able to get it picked up and got him a few yards on the kickoff return.
There you go.
He's always eager to be out there. So, a lot of those names, really excited to see them grow and develop.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask, and this is just a personal question. I know that Pearl Cone is probably, in my opinion, the best team y'all have faced so far this year.
100%.
Well, and I wanted to ask you, between Marshall County and Pearl Cone, those two, there's a chance that they could run into each other later on in the season. I know they play in the regular season. Who do you think wins that game?
I think Pearl's 3 touchdowns better than
Really?
Marshall County. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Marshall County does some things that offensively that scheme wise it's kind of tough, and they've got a really solid quarterback. Man, they last name Teat, that he's a really good high school quarterback. He does really good coverage wise, as far as he just seems like he never misses an open guy. You know, if there's a hole in your zone, he seems to find it.
Makes all the layups.
Yeah, he makes all the easy throws, and so those are things that I think that they'll be able to move the football. But as we're getting more and more tape in on Pearl Cone, man, their quarterback is special.
They're disgusting.
Yeah, they are really, really good. I think they're probably 3 touchdowns better than Marshall County. Now, does that mean that that's a score? No way. No. But I think if we're just putting it on paper, I think they're 2 to 3 scores better than Marshall.
Well, and I just wanted to ask, because I got to see Pearl. I was here for the Pearl game because I wanted to see Pearl Cone. I knew that they'd be good. They're always a great program. But I didn't get to see the Marshall County game, so I wasn't exactly sure what they look like. So I wanted to ask that.
Their fronts, the Pearl Cone's offensive line and defensive line.
They kind of make the difference.
Yeah, they'll make the difference there. Marshall's got 1 or 2 kids that might be able to line up and play man with those guys, but I don't. I think Pearl is significantly better.
All righty. Well, we're going to take another break. When we get back, we're going to start getting into the station camp and Greenbrier and White House stuff. So make sure y'all don't go anywhere.
Ethan was just one of those kids who was so kind. He was 16, funny as could be. He was just going to go hang out with some friends. He wanted to come home early and get a good night's sleep. He said, "Good night, Mom. See you in the morning. Love you." And my response was, "I love you too." I was talking to him, "Son, it's time to get up." And he didn't move. Your head doesn't go that my son has died. Having a hard conversation is so much easier than sitting in my seat.
As your local Ace Hardware of White Bluff, we are all committed to being the helpful place by offering our customers personal service, quality products, and a convenient shopping experience from the local experts who know you best. As the helpful hardware folks in your neighborhood, we promise that helping you is the most important thing we have to do today. Visit us online or in store.
If you love Funko Pop, figures, video games, and Star Wars toys, you need to check out New Wave Hobbies. With new items arriving daily, there's always something new to discover. From Funko Pop, figures to video games, Star Wars toys to Marvel collectibles, we've got everything you're looking for. Whether you're a fan of sports, movies, or TV, you'll find something to excite you. Visit us in store or check out our Facebook, New Wave Hobbies virtual store page today.
He shoots, and he scores!
Welcome back to the Creekwood High School Football Coaches Show. My name's Casey Patrick. I'm here with Coach Thiel. Coach, before we get into the station camp and the rest of those teams that are coming up, I wanted to ask you, was there anything over the weekend? Of course, I've been trying to ask these questions lately. Was there anything over the weekend that you got to catch that you really liked? And one thing, I wanted to bring this up. I saw the I don't know if you watched it, but I saw the Toy Story game Sunday morning.
Yeah, I saw bits and pieces of it, right?
I thought it was cool, but I wanted to ask you if there was anything else that you saw that you really liked over the weekend.
Well, this weekend I did make it up to Knoxville and watch the
there you go.
Ball South Carolina game, so that I didn't watch much football other than that game that I went to, but you know, it's fun to be back up there and kind of
it's always great to be in Neyland.
Yeah, experience the atmosphere. They had a big night, packed, dark mode, man. The things that they can do now,
the lights and
the
stuff.
lights.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what though, the Wi-Fi that they've now got in the stadium. I was during commercial breaks was pulling up my YouTube TV watching the Ole Miss.
You serious?
Yeah,
it's
LSU.
that good.
That's how good it was.
Wow.
So
I've been hearing it's really good Wi-Fi, but I haven't been there yet.
yeah, I read it was kind of spotty and kind of depending on where you were at, but where I was at, it was humming. So
really,
that was a neat thing. And then a couple things in that game I thought was interesting, and obviously not a South Carolina fan, but the things that I guess Shane Beamer got from his old man as far as some of the special team stuff that he does, I thought was really maybe not, I don't know if interesting the word, but it was very much a coach move. I thought he had the deal where they declined the penalty on the field goal, which I know he caught a little bit of heat about it, but I thought it was a good decline of the penalty, messed the angle up, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I sat in, I think it was D, and we were maybe 10, 12 rows up right behind the South Carolina bench. So, as a coach, you're kind of just watching how they handle personnel changes and all those just, things behind the scene that coaches worry about.
Yeah.
But, on the fake punt that they ran, he was hot because he kept once they faked it, he kept his punt team out there.
Yeah.
And they actually held the game up for just a little bit, which he felt like they shouldn't have done since he didn't sub anybody in, which I thought, man, that was a pretty slick move. You convert it, and then you go right back out, and they don't really have time to bring people on or off.
It's still special teams.
Yeah, it's still special teams, and causes Tennessee to burn a timeout, which not that it ended up really impacting anything, but I thought it was a very witty type move.
Oh, it's a Beamer thing.
Yeah, for sure. If you're coaching against him, you're probably got a lot of really nice things to say while it's happening, but I thought it was a smart play for sure.
Did you see the fake punt coming? Did you think it was about to happen?
I don't. Now,
I always think it's a fake punt.
I tell you, that's when we get into those situations. I mean, we set up throughout the week returns, punt blocks, and you just out of habit almost always want to call punt safe just because you don't want to get caught in that situation because it seems like more and more times teams are faking it. It's like Dan Campbell there at the beginning of the season where he faked it in around his 20-yard line. So I think as these analytics and the numbers and everything starts to come into the game a little bit more, I think people see it's not as risky as what it was once portrayed. Yeah,
and analytics is one thing that we will talk about one day. We don't have near enough time to talk about it today, but that's a whole issue about football. And personally, I like the idea of using analytics, but we'll talk about that one day. But before we do anything else, we're gonna take our next break. When we get back, we're gonna talk about the end of the season schedule, the most important part of the show, the most important part of the season. It's gonna be really big what happens after this week off. So make sure you don't go anywhere, and we're gonna get into the rest of the schedule.
Nothing updates your home like new flooring, and we have it all. Carpet, LVP, wood, vinyl, and tile, along with professional installation, warranties, and friendly advice. Preston Thompson's Flooring and Paint, voted #1 flooring store in Dickson County.
At Dickson Tater Shack, we take loaded baked potatoes to a whole new level. We're not just any potato joint, we're the best this side of the Mason-Dixon line. Whether you're a traditionalist who loves classic flavors or a culinary adventurer seeking bold new combinations, we've got you covered. Located at 728 East College Street. Dine in or take out. Follow us on Facebook. Call us at 615-740-7111.
Ethan was just one of those kids who was so kind. He was 16, funny as could be. He was just going to go hang out with some friends. He wanted to come home early and get a good night's sleep. He said, "Good night, Mom. See you in the morning. Love you." And my response was, "I love you too." I was talking to him, "Son, it's time to get up." And he didn't move. Your head doesn't go that my son has died. Having a hard conversation is so much easier than sitting in my seat.
Watch it! Did that guy even see that girl on her bike?
Just like looking for other cars before switching lanes, drivers should keep their eyes out for those traveling on bikes. When a crash occurs between a vehicle and a bike, it's the cyclist who is most likely to be injured. Give cyclists room and do not pass too closely. Riders have the same rights and responsibilities as those behind the wheel.
Be aware, be alert. Brought to you by THSO, the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
If your paint project calls for bold and vibrant neutrals or soft pastels, Benjamin Moore has the design-inspired colors you've been looking for in a full line of durable, long-lasting paints. And they're all here at Preston Thompson's Flooring and Paint, voted #1 paint store in Dickson County.
Welcome back to the Creekwood High School Football Coaches Show. My name's Casey Patrick. I'm here with Coach Houston Thiel. Coach, you got the week off. After that, station camp on the road, which is your last road game, I believe, of the season. Correct. I want to ask you about station camp, but before we do that, station camp, Greenbrier, White House, these 3 games are huge for your team, obviously, right?
Yeah, 100%. You know, and that as we kind of set out the year and we look at goals and things that we want to accomplish here, you know, we want to be in the playoffs. And that goal is still not only alive, I mean, it's very attainable, you know, as far as the things that you've got to do to make that happen. You know, and that's something that we've been talking to the team really since the Montgomery Central game. Is kind of laying out what their path looks like, you know, and that's something we've talked about. And if you ask any of our guys on our team, you know, the coaching staff, we're not shy of kind of telling them what it looks like. Yeah. You know, obviously we're going to focus week in and week out on who the opponent is that Friday, but, you know, I want them to understand what's at stake in the bigger picture of things. You know, I've never been the guy that tries to keep things from them as far as how everything plays out. Yeah. You know, I just really don't see any reason in it because we've got guys that are in it enough that they go visit the websites and they look and see the standings and they see all those things. Of course. You know, 15, 20 years ago when you had to maybe look in the newspaper.
Yeah, you had to wait till I got done.
Right, you had to really try to figure out how to do it. You know, those guys can go find it as soon as the game ends on Friday. That's kind of where they're at. So, you know, definitely they know where we stand. They know what we've got to do. Just when you look at the schedule at the beginning of the year, you knew that these 3 games were going to mean a lot. You know, Coach Smith, he called it early on. You know, we're going to be last game of the season playing White House, figuring out what seed we're going to be to make the playoffs. Yeah. You know, and that's just kind of where it's at. You know, and I think that we've got the team and the guys to get in. You know, but there's definitely things, as we've talked about, that we've got to get better across the board, from putting things in to highlight guys as far as to make sure that we're doing things that they can excel at, and then executing when things are there.
Yeah, well, and I know that these 3 teams too, not just the fact that they're all region games, but I believe Station Camp is 2-2 in the region. Greenbrier's 1-3, and then White House is 3-2. So, and of course, y'all are 2-2.
Yeah.
So everybody's kind of right there in a little pod. Your guys, again, they know that too, though, don't they?
Right. Yeah, 100%. And that's why when you kind of look at how the region's playing out right now, you know, you've got Marshall County and Pearl-Cohn that's kind of set themselves up as 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. You know, Montgomery Central and Whites Creek kind of toward the back end of the region. And then you've got us, Stations Camp, Greenbrier, White House. That's all just trying to figure out, you know, who's going to be 3-4 and who's going to be left out, you know. And I think, you know, if you look at Stations Camp record, you know, they started 0-5, 1-5. But, you know, one of those things that, man, you feel like that if you watch the tape, a pretty good ball team. Yeah. You know what I mean? And those are the things that when you look into scheduling, it's like, well, what did they do out of conference? You know, who did they play? And sometimes these teams look a lot better on paper than what they are, and then sometimes they look worse than what they really are. You know what I mean? So I think that all 3 of those games are going to be big tests for us, but definitely games that I expect us to compete in. And, you know, as long as we do things the right way and continue to get better, I think those are games we can win.
For sure, and Station Camp was a really strong program a few years ago, and ever since then, I think some other schools getting in the area has kind of hurt them a little bit. But hey, my last question, this is what I wanted to ask. Station Camp, what do you think they're going to try and do, and what do y'all have to do to beat them?
Well, as you're kind of early game planning for them, we don't have them this week. It's the following week before we actually play them. But we've seen them on tape. Got a big bruising running back that, a lot of times they get old school too tight smokestack guy and just go right at you, and there'll definitely have to be some things that we do scheme-wise that help stop that because they're pretty effective at it. Yeah. They've been limited at the quarterback position due to some injuries, so it'll be interesting to see who's out there for them this past week and the week coming forward to just kind of see where they're at and that kind of thing. Had a really tight game against White House, an overtime game this past Friday. So they're going to be extremely physical, 3-4 defense that we haven't seen in a while. So be some things that we got to brush up on as far as that goes. But the biggest thing that we're going to have to be ready for is the physicality that they're going to bring to us at the line of scrimmage. 5A team really that's just moved down to 4A this year, so they're going to have some bigger kids, and I expect them to probably be bigger than us. Yeah. Man by man across the offensive line, defensive line. So we'll have to do some things to try to scheme that up to put us in better spots to be successful.
All righty. Well, thank you very much for meeting with me today, Coach, and good luck with the rest of this schedule.
Casey, appreciate it.
Thank y'all. And y'all have a wonderful evening, and make sure you come back. We won't be here next week because he's got a week off. But after that, make sure you come back and check out the show. Y'all have a good evening.
You've been watching the Creekwood High School Coaches Show with Creekwood head coach Houston Thiel and Dickson Post sports reporter Casey Patrick. Join us each week at this time on Main Street Media TV to get the latest on Creekwood football. The Creekwood Football Coaches Show is brought to you by Preston Thompson's Carpet Shop, Dickson Tater Shack, New Wave Hobbies, Ace Hardware of White Bluff, Drug Free Dickson Coalition, and the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.